Black Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to this broadcast of Black Talk Radio News. My name is Scotty Reid and I'm broadcasting from behind the enemy lines of USA Inc. I'm sorry if you was connected to us earlier and we lost the live. I'm still over here learning and that was my mistake. So I do apologize. Let me go ahead and say hello to everybody. What's going on? I see in the chat that we got a lot of people talking about the various candidates. I haven't seen anybody who said they voted for Cornel West. He was on the ballot here in North Carolina. But yeah, this is a news podcast. I look at current events and things of that nature. And right now, we're like, tomorrow will be our third day of early voting here in North Carolina. I took my mom, me and her with to go vote. When was that? Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. We was in and out about 15 minutes, and we had high turnout for the little town that we had to go to vote because we live outside city limits. But it's about a town of 10,000. We was in and out pretty quick. Felt good to go in there and vote for the anti-genocide, pro-reparations candidate, Jill Stein. I ain't gonna lie, this is the second time I voted for her. I voted for her in 2016. And just to give listeners an idea of where I live, like I live in MAGA country. This is solidly a red county that I live in. This is MAGA country. We got a rich neighborhood, like $1 million houses up on the mountain. We call it MAGA Mountain. And these Republicans got money, you know, and they really fund they local politics. And that's what I was most concerned about. And I think most people should be most concerned about is those judges. I just left the judges blank here in North Carolina. It was only Republicans running for those various state court judge, like the state Supreme Court and then the appellate courts, and all Republicans. I was like, nobody else, the Libertarians, the Democrats, y'all are always on the ballot. Y'all got permanent ballot access. Y'all got parties. Y'all ain't running nobody. That's one of the most important positions in government. The Supreme Court, I would argue, has more power than the executive branch, whether we're talking federal government or state government, because they interpret the laws. Okay, they interpret the laws, but then when we're talking criminal justice system, they can sentence people to 21st century slavery, to a jail or prison for years, and where their labor is profited off of, they're paid slave wages, if anything. We never talk about that part of it, where we had these private contractors use, and I'm talking Fortune 500 brand name companies. You could throw Walmart in there, just do a search. And you will find all of these Fortune 500 companies. Some you might be invested in is using prison labor. Using prison labor. For my Harris voters, Miss Harris, she support 21st century slavery. And a lot of people either don't know that or they want to deny that. When she was the Attorney General, she supported 21st century slavery. Her office, right? Her office, the thing that she had power, because she's trying to say, oh, she didn't mean for them, the lawyers, to put it like that. Her lawyers. But her lawyers went into court and argued that the courts had mandated that they release about 1,000, a couple of thousand, I'm not sure the exact figure, but release these prisoners due to overcrowding. Which also the healthcare system was found to be unconstitutional. People dying from preventable stuff. This stuff we all know goes on. Yes, she was presiding over that, and y'all can't deny that or lie about that. And I'm talking specifics. Well, it shouldn't even matter that black people were harmed, even though, you know, that's my community. But all people are being harmed by the system of slavery today. The only thing the Civil War accomplished is it took it from a race-based slavery to all we got to do is convict you of a crime. And they've used that racially as well as classism, you know, where you have these wealthy people who were the slavers back in the day, and they will practice discrimination, economic discrimination against the poor whites. And they use racism and white supremacy as propaganda. I heard something that said it was disconnected. Okay, I know what it was. It was my Bluetooth speaker. We good. Let's see. But yeah, getting back to Harris, yeah, she presided over there, and her lawyers went in the court and said, we cannot let these prisoners go, even though the court said that found our prison system is unconstitutional due to overcrowding, lack of health care, and other unsafe conditions. We need these prisoners. Labor. This is what they argued. This is what they argued. And I know, you know, especially my black brothers and some of my sisters get mad when I spit that truth, but I was spitting this truth back in while it was happening. on Black Talk Radio Network through New Abolitionist Radio, which was started in 2012. So just go to our network. Oh, by the way, let me just get this quick pitch. We're struggling as a network in terms of that virus really messed up, a lot of people's pocketbooks and stuff like that. So we don't even get enough donations in to maintain our operating costs. I actually, out of a labor of love, come out my own pocket and try to subsidize the shortfalls. But I don't know how much longer we can continue to do that. So you can make a donation to the nonprofit, North Carolina nonprofit, Black Talk Media Project, and you can do that through Black Talk Radio Network. If you're following Black Talk Radio Network on Facebook, you can give the stars or become a subscriber. If you're on TikTok, you become a subscriber. I'm still learning TikTok. But yeah, help support all independent media, but Black people specifically. We don't have any voices. Bill Clinton stole our platforms. Bill Clinton and corporate media, the big conglomerations. You can look that stuff up. I haven't looked at a chart recently, but I think it's safe to say maybe 10, I want to say 3, but 10 corporations own all the media distributed 90% worldwide. Worldwide, okay? And so we don't have a lot of independent media. It's not like back in the early days of Black radio where Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, any local activist, pastor, whatever, could come on the local radio station, and talk to the people directly. Of course, we had our newspapers, Black Panther Party had a newspaper. Many abolitionists had their own newspapers. And that's another medium that's dying, Black independent newspapers. I think the Charlotte Post is still going. I'm not sure. But it's a Black-owned in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we have to support these institutions. And I think it's safe to say that Black Talk Radio Network has been on the air so long, 17 years, it'll be our 18th year in November, that we serve as an institution. People still reference our podcast. And I dare anyone to say that New Abolitionist Radio did not start the wave of these activists changing their state constitutions to get rid of the exception clauses for slavery. So, that's just one of the many reasons to my Kamala voters that I don't rock with her. I ain't never liked her from the things she did there. And that I could just go into so much more. And like some of my friends, these Democrats, they get mad when I spit the facts to them of why I don't like her. And then some people that's followed me for years and they know I'm gonna keep it real. It was like, oh, you just trying to tear a Black woman down. Why would I do that? Just simply because she Black. So you must just be supporting her because she melanated. For no other reason, because you've been following me, this particular guy on Facebook, been following my podcast for over a decade, man. And I know what I'm talking about, but he's so afraid of what Donald Trump gonna do. I don't fear none of these people. I'm a Second Amendment person. Yeah. Most of us in the Black South, how y'all think we protected ourselves doing all of that terrorism? Yeah, they got some of us and what have you, but a lot of us survived because we had those pew-pews in our closets. Like I got one in my closet for self-defense and what have you. So I don't fear these people. And then when you're really paying attention to the news, most of these militant white supremacist groups like that, they focused in on the federal government and the police. I just read about a guy in Mount Olive, North Carolina. He's a veteran like myself, but I was a communications specialist in the military. This guy was special forces, demolition, all of that. I mean, it was like he went in and got as many specialized skills that he could get, creating explosives and stuff. So he created his little private company where they teach people survival skills, and they'll come up to his little farm up there in Mount Olive, North Carolina, and learn the skills and learn how to do illegal stuff like create explosives and things of that nature. And so he hooked up with this lady. I don't know if they got married. I think they were just living together. She had 2 daughters. This woman was divorced, and her ex-husband, who would come every once in a when he could to pick up the children, started noticing this stuff. Y'all got to look up this story. This guy had stuff booby trapped on the porch. It was booby traps everywhere, and this father was concerned for his children. And he kept calling and kept calling and kept calling. He even called the Army. He called the FBI. Nobody would believe him. Now, I guess they thought he was just hating on his ex-wife's new boo or whatever, and they didn't believe him. But for whatever reason, they went out there and they found all this stuff, and they did arrest him. This dude had tunnels and all that. That dude was focused on the police. because that was one of the complaints that the guy, the father, had made about this guy, was that he be threatening police and talking about, you know, doing mass unalivings. I mean, so if a civil war was to pop off, that's who gonna be focused on each other. And then I was in the military. It's a lot of us in the military, and every white person ain't racist, but you do got to be white to be a white supremacist. But all of them are not white supremacists. I had quite a few non-black Army buddies and what have you. And so then y'all think that some of us just gonna blindly follow orders. No doubt some of them will, just like the ones that are going over to Israel to man those THAAD missile defense system or whatnot, not even giving a second thought to the part that they helping to sustain a G-side against people. But some of us, man, when the LA riots went down, or I like to call them the LA uprising, Rodney King. So again, the dude talking about when Trump had the police jump on me. Dude, I ain't worried about the police around here. Number one, I rarely see them. I'm in an unincorporated area, and I don't live in the city. I don't see police like that. If I do, it's in passing or because one of them live around here. But I know how to survive police stops. But it's like this person want me to get beat up by the police if Trump win. I know Trump be talking crazy, but Trump don't control Gaston County Sheriff Department. Trump don't control the Gastonia City Police. He don't control the Mount Holly Police. He don't control Belmont Police. He don't control the North Carolina National Guard. No. So, I mean, but people, including non-melanated people, meaning white people, are getting unalived by these cops at rates that's not happening in other countries. So this stuff is already happening. You want me to trust a former cop, a former top cop who's done nothing but back the blue, to trust her over Trump? I don't trust neither one of them. Okay? I don't trust neither one of them. And we could get into those reasons why. And I do want to play a couple of clips from some podcasts, because I don't think Trump voters and Harris voters know what's really at stake. Like one of my activist friends, she just in her 30s. I'm 57, but she's in her 30s. She my children's age. In fact, she friends with my children, but that's how we all met, doing local activism. But she was like saying that she was talking to another guy who's also from Army, like me, U.S. Army, like me. And she says he complains about the same stuff I be complaining about, that he calls it a G-side. And he said we need to keep calling it a G-side. And because we soldiers, we know what the rules of warfare are. We know what the Geneva Convention say. We know what international laws say. We know what the federal Leahy laws say. And you're breaking the law. Trump is pledging to come in and break the law. We already know we know Trump has a history. I don't even want to get into his 37 convictions because that's still in the appeals process or whatever. But I believe if I can't call him a crook, I do believe he's a con man, and a dangerous con man. He's definitely a grifter. Can I say he's broken I can't say that with all certainty, but it seems like that he does do these things and what have you. But she's also breaking the law as part of the Biden administration. The Leahy law prohibits U.S. arm manufacturers. We have to go through the U.S. government, and the State Department had to approve. And it's another office that has to approve before you can sell weapons to any country. And if they are engaged in mass unaliving, and Israel has been for the past, year? Come on now. So that really calling him the criminal and her the prosecutor, that don't really work, y'all. It don't really work when she's in the midst of breaking law and was willing to run afoul of the courts in California with them unconstitutional prisons just to keep some prison slave labor. I mean, that's not even, slavery is pretty much the worst thing you could do to a person. But I think the second worst thing is also kind of related to slavery. When you think about the father of gynecology and how they practiced on enslaved victims, females, to perfect his so-called art or his technique. They were sterilizing prisoners, white, black, Hispanic, again, although we are concerned about the welfare of black people and we know we are disproportionately affected, but it shouldn't happen to no one. Okay? And it is happening to everyone. They sterilized them women. Involuntary sterilization. Doctors and administrators didn't even tell the women. That like remind me of the dude in South Carolina. I'm not even gonna say that dude's name. They call the father of gynecology. Yeah, man, that happened in California. So people want to say that Trump gonna take us backwards. Look, we've been going backwards since Reconstruction. Yeah, Dr. King and others came along, and we did make some progress with civil rights, again, lifting all boats, because whenever black people, we fight for these things, we fighting for everybody, really. And that's why I don't understand how people can be against us. You know, that civil rights bill covers your sex. It covers your national origin. And so, you know, it covers it all. So how can y'all always be against us? So we did get some gains then, but then we started losing them again. Here come Nixon, the drug war. He's the father of the drug war. They taking us off to these other wars to to unalive non-white people in wars of aggression. Talking about we need to go fight to stop communism and all that. No, that ain't your job. Who appointed that to be your job? But really, it's just an excuse for the arms manufacturing to keep making weapons, keep the population scared, make up a reason for why you got to send young men and today young women off to be unalive unnecessarily. And we still are not enjoying life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All of us are not. Unless you're a billionaire or multi-millionaire, you're not living. You're not really in pursuit of happiness. You in pursuit of stability. You in pursuit of housing. You in pursuit of food, things you need. You're in pursuit of survival. We ain't all thriving like that. But yeah, and I do. Let me see if we got any guests want to come up. I will take some later, but I'm concerned about a war. I'm concerned about what's gonna happen. And Harris has already said that we got to support Ukraine. In video I posted the other day, I talked about the Army Secretary saying that they just barely met their new recruit goal for the Army of 55,000, had to lower the standards and stuff. Now they're saying they need another 55,000 for the next fiscal year. So they want to double that amount. So they want 100,000. What are they gearing up for? What are they gearing up to send these poor working class men and women who wouldn't even join the military if they perhaps we had $20 minimum wage, state or federal? I even go down to 15. You know, a lot of people go into the military because of poverty, or they're trying to escape debt. They don't want. That's why we're there for the GI Bill, for college money. Man, my sister's still struggling. My younger sister, she's still struggling with college debt. So a lot of us don't even go into the military for God, country, or this patriotism. That's all bull. You know, it's all BS. So, yeah. But I'm concerned about that. We didn't put some troops in Israel in a battlefield, in a hot war zone. I was in a hot war zone. I was in the Gulf War. So if they get unalive, then what? We gonna send thousands over and listen. I know that some of us like to think we bought into the hype. No, Public Enemy told y'all don't believe the hype that we this big bad military and we could go around the world and bully people and make them do what we want, and we will harm them if they don't. Them days is over. They technologically, it's pretty much assured mutual destruction, and we talking ballistics. And then right now, we're running low on everything. And when I say we, I don't mean me. I mean, we really mean them. The people that's in control of these people, except for Jill Stein and Cornel West. They're the only two you see on this screen who ain't bought and paid for by billionaires. And y'all stop me when I tell a lie. Somebody come up and confront me if I tell a lie. Otherwise, y'all know I'm telling the truth. And so why do we keep playing these silly games and keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result? My goal is to help the Green Party get 5% of the popular vote. I hope they get more, but 5% of the popular vote. And then they will get federal funds, qualify for federal funds and state funds to matching funds. Because they don't take money from billionaires, y'all. They don't take money from corporate donors. Elon Musk ain't dropping $400 million on them. The Zionists who support the Republicans ain't dropping $500 million on them in these PACs and stuff like that. So I'm fighting for the future. Helping a third party that matches my values get access to the ballot in the future. And I'm going to join the Green Party. I've been unaffiliated all my life. Never been part of a Republican or a Democrat. I guess in that way, I'm kind of divergent. You know, sometimes we have to use movies or pop culture to explain things to certain people because we live in a pop culture country, in a pop culture community. And so that movie, I can't remember the name of the movie, but it's called Divergence, I think. You know, why am I so different from everybody else? You know, why do I not think like the herd? But it kind of makes sense because even though I went to school, I still was kind of rejected school, skipped school a lot, just showed up for tests, A's and B's honor roll every time. But I just question. I ask questions. I question authority. I question, is this really worth my time? So I'm just really divergent. And it's really messing with my PTSD to make me think that, man, millions of people don't even care that all these people being unalived. See, that's what I got PTSD from. I wasn't no combat soldier. Remember, I was communication. I was helping combat soldiers be able to communicate on their battlefield using microwave technology, just cable, whatever. And so, but I do feel responsible because I had a top secret security clearance, and Mike Miller, Biden's one of his, I think Mike Miller's with the State Department, or is he part of the press corps? I'm not, the White House press corps. But Mike Miller, I just seen a video of him today. They was in front of his house protesting. Mike Miller, the baby, you know, that rhymes with Miller, the baby unaliver. Every time you open your mouth to tell a lie, a Palestinian baby unalives, you know. But he said this, and I'm going to have to pull that clip. I'm going to have to find that clip and make a copy of it. But this dude's excuse Israel's unaliving of all those civilians. Look, y'all, we talking over 200,000. Forget that 50 or 60,000. That's just confirmed. We're talking a city of 2 million that has been buried under rubble. You think anybody's had time to go and dig through that rubble to rescue anyone, let alone to retrieve while the, you know, munitions keep falling on them? Yeah, we're probably looking at 200,000, 300,000. Joe Biden said he's not going to stop the weapons shipments until after the election. So Palestinian lives don't matter to him. Black lives didn't matter to him. They just know, Democrats know how to use black people. And these are black people that don't necessarily have, let alone black people's interests at heart, but none of the masses of the people's interests at heart. And when I say the mass, I'm talking about working class. Y'all talk that middle class stuff all y'all want to. Ain't no middle class. You got to be making millions these days. At least 6 figures coming in. Pairing. So, but I'm very concerned. That's what concerns me about Trump and Kamala is they are pro-war. They pro-war, man. And both of them are surrounded by psychopaths. And I just got a feeling that just like all of those people that worked in Obama's staff and they did some war crimes, they stayed on, became part, or were recycled in the Biden administrations, and then they're going to be recycled right into the Harris administration if she wins. These are all war criminals, y'all. Again, stop me if I'm lying. Show me the lie. Tell me where I'm lying. So, things are getting really crucial, y'all. And we really could be looking at a nuclear war, the first one. Matter of fact, I just read that North Koreans have joined the battlefield in Iran, have deployed to Iran to help them. The whole world is aligning against the United States, the United Kingdom. Some of them European countries are saying we neutral. We don't want no part of this. They don't even want no more part of Ukraine. And so, but the whole rest of the world are economically uniting against the U.S. dollar. What y'all think that's going to do to us? And then now they're forming up military alliances. Y'all think that it's just going to be the USA versus Iran? No. It's going to be Iran. It's going to be China. It might even be Saudi Arabia. I think all of them Arab countries, because of their populations, the U.S. puppets are not going to be able to stay out of it. And so again, as a person who was deployed to Saudi Arabia, and I saw the hate in some of those men's eyes as I walked the streets of Riyadh, when I had my uniform on and what have you. And man, something happened to you out there. You surrounded. Our people surrounded out there. Not going to be able to use the Saudi Arabian base. You're not going to be, no, you ain't going to be able to use none of them bases. And all of these people aligning against us got hypersonic missiles, something we don't even got. Hypersonic missiles, that Patriot system, it's not going to be able to stop it. Iran already used one on Israel, but anyway, I don't think people paying attention. But if you want to come up and tell us why you supporting who you supporting, I'm open to your argument, but just know that I already voted. I voted Jill Stein in a straight Democratic ticket for North Carolina. Because we got this crazy black dude named Mark Robinson. He's been making national news. But Republicans need to be punished for what they're doing to our public school system here. They need to be punished for weakening the building standards, to build houses and do development. They weaken a lot of those laws that really contributed to people losing their property, building stuff on the slope. You ain't supposed to build it there. They changed laws that the manufacturing industry wrote for them. That's how politics work, man, in this country. So they got to be punished. But I'm going to keep it real 100%. We always, we need a revolution, y'all. We need a revolution. Don't deem me as one of those people that's going to go out here like the guy in Mount Olive or nothing like that. But if this system collapsed from the BRICS Alliance, it need to collapse. And we're smart enough people. It don't have to be like Thunderdome around here. It don't have to be like The Walking Dead. We can pull together within. It starts with your individual community. I'm just thankful that I live in a community that my family has lived in for almost, 150 years, 125 years, and surrounded by hundreds of family members, all over this county, and then close relationships. So I'm not scared. I am not scared of what may come. It may have to happen because all empires come to an end. United States been giving it a good 200-year run, but even Rome fell. And what's funny though, the United States, Rome fell for the same reason the United States going to fall: political corruption and military expansionism. Go on to conquer and control the whole damn world, and that shit's expensive. So yeah, let me play some clips again. If you want to come up and state your position of who you rocking with, who you voting for, or if you've already voted. Early voting has started. So remember I was saying earlier that Miss Harris was talking about, I'll call her VP Harris, was talking about how we going to go all in for Ukraine if she become president. Remember I just said that the troops, the Army Secretary, and that's mostly your ground forces, you know what I'm saying? That's the biggest branch of our military. But saying that they need at least 100,000 over the next year. You know why? Scott Ritter finna tell you why. That NATO instructor. Let me pull up this podcast right quick for you and let you listen to what he got to say. This former military, just like myself, his credentials, you can look him up. He was the weapons inspector. They told us, or told the United States and the Bush administration, that Iraq don't got no nuclear weapons. They don't have no weapons of mass destruction. You're lying. Yeah, that's Scott Ritter. That's Scott Ritter. See, some of y'all too young to remember that. Free copy of my best-selling book.
Ukrainians are suffering horrific casualties. Give you an example. In Kursk, where the Russians have had to make some adaptations and fight against very well-trained, well-equipped troops, using troops that are at least initially inferior in numbers. So you have a smaller number of Russians attacking a larger number of Ukrainians. The casualty ratio is 6 to 1. So for every Ukrainian killed or wounded, for every 6 Ukrainians killed or wounded, there's 1 Russian. The Russians are saying that the Ukrainians have lost 16,000 guys so far. Well, that means that the Russians have lost almost 3,000 guys. That's a lot. But that's in Kursk, where you don't have the dug-in people. It's a little bit more fluid, the fighting. People are trying to talk. The Ukrainians keep talking about the Russians losing massive amounts of men here, massive amounts of men there. The guys I talk to, the Russians are suffering casualties, but they're talking about 10 to 1 in some parts of the front, 20 to 1 casualty ratios, 5 to 1 in intense fighting. But the Russians, again, as I said, when they get to that point where it becomes really intense, they stop because 5 to 1 is not the odds they want.
As Inspector Scott Ritter has pointed out numerous times, when it comes to dissecting the realities of this conflict, you need to sift through the propaganda and inflated casualty numbers on both sides. Along with Colonel Douglas Macgregor, he has stressed the importance of seeing through these narratives to grasp the strategic truth Russia's attrition strategy is in full force. And what we see is clear: Russia is winning the war of attrition. Ukraine is being worn down slowly, methodically. This isn't about flashy victories or rapid territorial gains anymore. It's about the systematic erosion of Ukraine's military capability. Russia has identified Ukraine's weak point, its inability to replace its losses. And as the months go on, Ukraine's manpower and equipment are being ground down to unsustainable levels. From the outset, Russia has understood that it doesn't need to win in a single decisive battle. No, Russia is playing a long game, one that hinges on its ability to continuously apply pressure across multiple fronts, forcing Ukraine to react and expend resources that it simply can't afford to lose. This is the essence of a war of attrition. And it's one that Russia is clearly winning, while Ukraine, despite its early victories and Western support, finds itself on the defensive, struggling to hold the line as its reserves are depleted. As Inspector Scott Ritter often explains, a war of attrition doesn't require immediate, flashy victories. What it requires is the ability to replace losses, something Russia can do, while Ukraine increasingly cannot. Yes, Russia is taking losses, but it's important to focus on Russia's capability to regenerate its fighting force, which is the key in any prolonged conflict. And now we arrive at the crux of the matter. Yes, Russia is taking losses. Yes, they are losing soldiers on the battlefield. But here's the critical point: Russia can replace those losses, and Ukraine cannot. This is where the narrative flips. In any war of attrition, the side that can replenish its forces will always come out ahead. We're constantly hearing claims from the Western media that Russia is engaging in meat wave attacks as if they're just throwing soldiers into the grinder. But let's be clear, this is far from the truth. Russia, contrary to what some may believe, is not recklessly sacrificing its troops. With its demographic challenges, Russia is actually being very deliberate with its forces, avoiding unnecessary casualties wherever possible. This isn't the Red Army of the past. We're seeing a far more cautious and calculated approach. And this brings us to the numbers. According to Mediazona, which is backed by the BBC, Russia suffered 9,000 fatalities between January and April 2024. Add to that another 18,000 severely injured, and the total irrecoverable losses stand at 27,000. Yet during that same period, the Moscow Times reported that 100,000 contract soldiers joined the Russian military. So while there were losses, Russia saw a net positive of 73,000 soldiers, a fact conveniently ignored in much of the Western media's narrative. And this trend continued. Between April and June 2024, Russia's fatalities decreased to 7,500, with another 15,000 severely injured, bringing the total losses to 22,500 irrecoverable. Once again, Russia managed to recruit enough soldiers to replace these losses and more. By the end of June, Russia's forces saw a net positive of 77,500.
You're not a child, you're a man.
Okay, we'll stop it right there, but do you get the idea? Do you get the idea? So first of all, what's a red flag is that our military across all branches, or I'm going to say they military, the U.S. military across all branches, we're having problems. It was being reported all over the past couple of years, having problems recruiting. A lot of people just don't want to join the military. They are no longer persuaded by Rambo movies or John Wayne, Iwo Jima flicks and stuff like that. No, I would say that the masses have gotten smarter. Well, I do have to take into account that they were forcing people. They were drafting. For most of our wars, they drafted people. I was in the volunteer army, and I think we were at 1 million, a 1 million standing army at the time. But Clinton and them really, I think, cut our forces. But anyway, what gives me red flags is that they had to lower the standards, meaning they could take people who have felonies, or maybe you didn't pass the aptitude test, the ASVAB test with low score. They might have gave you a waiver for that. Just a number of things they could give you a waiver for, offering you big bonuses and stuff like that. And they just signing you up to be one of those casualties out there. That's all they doing. So who's ready to go? Commander-in-Chief Harris already has said that, so how far are they willing to take this? Because Harris already has said that, so how far are they willing to take this? Because you have to consider, Ukraine is on Russia's border. Ukraine and NATO is an existential threat. Just imagine if it was reversed and they were at our borders. How many people will be signing up and what have you to defend the homeland? So they defending the homeland. They got home field advantage. This is not like the 1990s when I remember my unit, we just jumped on a ship out of California with all our equipment, 86th Signal Battalion in the 11th Signal Brigade, and got on a cargo ship. And then, I didn't have to sail. I just had to drive the equipment, put it on the boat. They shipped it over there, and we caught a plane. over there, man, it's not going to be that easy today, because we're not going to have as many cooperating Arab countries as we had during the Gulf War. So, y'all ready to sign up? Y'all ready to sign up? But I bet you a lot of y'all ready to sign other people's kids up, just like they are, just like the Biden-Harris administration. Now, Donald Trump gives different vibes when it comes to Ukraine. And yeah, the Democrats since 2016 have been trying to link him to Putin, say he has a love affair with Putin. Really childish stuff. But you keep saying the same thing over and over, people will start to believe it. The Yahtzees in Germany, what's his name, Goebbels, came up with that concept. Tell a lie big enough, the people will believe it. But you just got to keep repeating it over and over and over. But Trump doesn't seem too keen on continuing this in Ukraine. So that's a plus on his side. Because he already didn't like NATO and was saying that the United States taxpayer footing the bill, and he's telling the truth. Them other countries wasn't really contributing nothing. Even our troops stationed in Germany and elsewhere probably outnumber all the troops they contributed. And who's going to pay the price? Our working class young men and women. Well, they didn't raise the age, I believe, even taking 60-year-olds. For obviously for non-physical, non-combat skills, but likely clerical. But you know what Trump will do? And Kamala Harris likely will too, because she's given no indication that she's going to do anything different than what's going on. I have no indication she's going to fire Anthony Blinken, the war criminal. I don't think she's going to fire any Mike Miller or any of those other people that can't come step up to that podium and lie. Lied to Congress about whether or not the Israelis were starving 2 million people, minus likely 200,000 they already done unalive. Even Cindy McCain, a month or two ago, was saying this is a full-blown famine. They're stopping supplies and aid from coming in, and then they're unaliving aid workers, unaliving journalists who out here filming, taking, man. Trump had the little wit and kiss the ring, so to speak, wit and put the yarmulke on like most candidates for U.S. president, go down there, kiss that ring of the Zionists. He already don't like Iran. He's a war criminal too, by the way. You ain't supposed to just be assassinating people. But again, that's what a lot of people don't know. It started with Bush and Cheney. Started with Papa Bush and Cheney. And ever since, the executive branch has grown or expanded its powers. And Congress and the Supreme Court has went along with it. These drone strikes, just unaliving civilians, bombing civilian infrastructure. Mike Miller said on the podium that what the Israelis doing, the U.S. government, we've done that too. And that really hit me because I've seen the numbers real time. And I'm like, these aren't just numbers, these are people. Why are we dropping these, things on these people, on their infrastructure? Those aren't military targets. That's not where their troops are. So Trump has given his pledge to continue that. So no, I don't want to see a world war. And Iran likely has a nuclear weapon because of Trump. They have one now, and they got something we don't got. They got hypersonic missiles that can't be shot down, can't be tracked because of their maneuverability and the rate that they're going. You can't stop them. So, again, if you think the United States is Superman, invincible, and think again. And then, again, what does it profit us as working class people? What is it going to profit us? Some cheap gas? We willing to go along with a G-side for cheap gas? That blows up, there ain't going to be no more cheap gas. If all those facilities, the Strait of Hormuz, them cheap gas days is over. Better get you a converter to some biofuel or something. I don't know. Might have to. I'm glad I live in the country. I might have to go buy a horse from the guy up the road. He got several horses. I might have to put in for a horse, man. For real, y'all. I'm laughing, but it's not a laughing matter. I'm laughing because most people are not aware. They're just not aware. And they're not going to be happy until they feel the repercussions and the consequences of our government's actions. Because it's always us who's going to pay. It's not going to be them. Now, when BRICS nation come along, it's all over for them. It's all over for them. Because that dollar ain't going to be worth nothing. That's why they hoarding gold right now. So I just don't see how y'all could rock with any of this stuff. Here is an ex-State Department official. This is the Biden-Harris administration. Somebody in the chat said, buy gold. My ballot in Arizona just got counted for Jill Stein. Won't catch me voting for folks genocide. Amen. I can't live with that on my conscience. And again, I know it's a lot of people say they, in the United States, say they Christians. I don't refer to myself as a Christian. I refer to myself as a person of the way. I'm a follower of Yeshua's teachings, which are very simple. Treat other people, love God with all your heart, and treat people the way you want to be treated. Well, that's love. That's the essence of love, man. How come? What's so hard about that? Why we can't do that? Why everybody have such a problem with that? But y'all say y'all Christians, and y'all say y'all believe in Judgment Day and stuff like that. When you cast that ballot for some people already engaged in a G-side, and a person who has pledged to continue with G-side, do you not think on Judgment Day that's going to count against you? If you believe such things, you know, I know a lot of people say they believers, but they not. What about karma? What about karma? How many karma believers do we got out here? Huh? Do y'all believe that what goes around comes around? Do you believe in reaping what, you reap what you sow out there, what you put into the universe, that's going to come back on you? I think in political terms, my man Ron Paul called it blowback when he was talking about 9/11. It was like, this is what you get for funding, training, and providing arms to all of these jihadi groups to fight against Russia and fight against these other Arab countries that didn't want to get with your program. And now you done lost control of them, and now they out here harming the United States and its assets. That's called blowback. That's what it's called. It's called blowback. It's a lot of blowback. United States do for it. I don't know. I know we got a lot of psychopaths who just don't have consciences, and they just don't feel empathy and this is scientifically proven. And a lot of them don't have melanin. And I wonder if there's a connection there. Because they did this thing where they showed pale people these images of people doing different activities, and they hooked them up to some kind of brain monitor. They put the little patches on their head and stuff, and then monitor their reactions to the images they were seeing. And it showed that when they showed people who didn't look like them, belonged to a different ethnicity or whatever, that they didn't have any kind of empathy or reaction, or it was less. But if they saw like someone who looked like themselves doing an activity or being injured or whatever, they show empathy. So it's a lot of that going on too. But I believe though, to me, to be in the Biden administration, to be a part of something like that, mass unaliving, you got to be a psychopath, man. You got to be. I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care what church you say you go to. I don't care what synagogue you claim you go to. I don't care. Your actions speak louder than words. And most of the major faiths of the world teach this. It's not what you say, it's what you do. And who can be in denial that the United States has been doing a whole lot of evil for a very long time? And I don't know if we've reached the pinnacle of that evil. If we've reached the pinnacle or the cliff of evil, the pinnacle of the cliff, of the peak of the mountain. Have we reached that peak? I mean, I know we was already doing some stuff, but we claimed as a society that we was past doing G-side. We learned from what we did to the indigenous folks. We learned what we did to the African Americans. We learned what we did. We learned from it. We become a better nation, a better people. Y'all know that's a doggone lie. Y'all know that's a lie. And you have to, and if you are so blind with patriotism that you will lie to yourself, then why should I trust anything that come out your mouth? We are not a force for good. We could be, but we're not. And it's coming to an end. It really is. And I just want people to be ready, man. I want people to be ready to face the consequences of their choices. Because it most likely it's going to be Trump or it's going to be Harris. And what that means is war, full-blown war. Hell, Trump might even try to go to war with China over Taiwan. Again, we the force for evil in there. Taiwan is part of China. The United States government since the 1970s, 1972, I think, it was during the Nixon administration, recognized the one China policy. That after they had their civil war and the ones the capitalists back got beat, retreated to that island and what have you, and then the United States just kind of held the Chinese on the mainland back, and China didn't really press it. And so, again, this is war profiteering. We keep taxpayers paying these U.S. weapons manufacturers billions to arm Taiwan. And what that got to do with us, y'all? What does that got to do? What does any of that? Why do these people want to try to remake themselves in the image of Rome? Rome collapsed from overextension, overspending. We're trillions in debt. And both Donald Trump, I was listening to this dumb mainstream report the other day, and it was saying, I think they was talking to Trump, or they might have been talking to Harris, I'm not sure. But the thing was that they were saying, well, Harris' plan is only going to put $1 more trillion on the debt than your plan, which is going to put $3 trillion. I'm just giving an example. And I'm like, wow. So they both pledging to put us in the freaking further into debt, which again impacts the US dollar and its worth. And now these BRICS countries, y'all know Cuba, the first country in North America, which has been punished with unfair U.S. sanctions since 1959, since they decided to have a revolution, overthrow a brutal right-wing dictator who was in with the mob and the corporations, the sugar corporations, the pineapple, all of that. These U.S. the gambling, the casinos, all of that was controlled by people in the United States. They had the revolution, shut all of that down, and the United States put sanctions on them, been punishing them ever since. And then want to say, oh, communism don't work. Even though they're not a communist country, they practice democratic socialism. Oh, socialism don't work. Yeah, you told all these countries around the world not to do trade with them, or you gonna sanction them. Well, Cuba joined BRICS today. That's BRICS, BRICS. They applied to join BRICS today, which is well on its path to creating its alternative payment system so that these countries can stop using the US dollar, which then makes those sanctions ineffectual. How you gonna sanction somebody and they ain't trading in your dollars? Then you can't do what you did to countries like Zimbabwe, like you're doing to Cuba, caused all this poverty like you're doing to Venezuela, because these are democratic socialist countries. That's evil, y'all. Anybody that would deny somebody, another group of people, their right to self-determination is evil. We are not a good society. And these are not good people that's running for office. And I'm of the persuasion that none of us are really good, but a lot of us ain't evil. And we don't do evil things like this, like participate in the G-side, overthrow other countries, install puppet dictators, unalive millions of people. How many have we unalived since George Bush and Dick Cheney? Dick Cheney, who is Harris said she proud to accept his support. How many people have our government, Republican or Democrat, unalived in this world since they told that lie about Saddam having weapons of mass destruction? How many? And how many of our troops got unalived and got injured and suffer from PTSD? That we're out here, a lot of us homeless, a lot of us unaliving ourselves. Y'all don't care shit about us. Just quit. Keep your fucking, thank you for your service, like this fucking woman gonna say to me when I went to vote today. When you asking for my ID, looking at my ID and kept asking me my address like 3 freaking times, like I'm gonna give you a different answer. And looking at me all weird and shit, I know what was up. But I didn't use my driver's license. I used my VA card, which I know is an acceptable form of ID. I just wanted to see what they were going to do, because they asked for a driver's license. Then she gonna say, oh, by the way, thank you for your service. I really wanted to say keep it, but I try not to be rude. Only time I really go off is when I'm in my own home on these airwaves. Then I let it out. But this is really aggravating my PTSD because I'm realizing what kind of community, and I'm talking like Gaston County, I'm talking the state of North Carolina, I'm talking about the United States and all its colonies and possessions that I don't know how many tens of millions of us are going to go out here and vote for evil and think anything's going to change. A black person, I want reparations. My people is owed reparations. Bob Johnson got $1 trillion plan to pay us our reparations. I don't want no mentor, Kamala Harris. I don't need a mentor. We got the 100 black men mentorship. Barack Obama got his thing going on. The Brothers Keeper. We got these frats and all of that. Come on, man. Don't play me. We don't need that. We don't need no $20,000 loan. That might be forgivable for just a small amount of black men and others. It's gonna be white women and because that's how y'all know that's how affirmative action work. White women, even though they make up the majority of the bodies walking around within our borders, are still treated as a minority when it comes to jobs and business contracts. They can get affirmative action. I didn't lose my job, but I lost my complaint where this young white girl had the same position as me, didn't have my education background, didn't have the same skills as I had, wasn't as old as me, but she was willing to do something strange for some extra change. And some of them managers, them dudes was like that. So I was like, it's not right that this chick making $20,000 more a year than me. That's not right. Oh, I went to the EEOC. Oh, you can't file a complaint. She's a minority. So that's how that Kamala black man plan gonna work. No. Don't play in my face like that. But we don't need that. Just give us our reparations. You're giving these Ukrainians all this money. I'm sorry, I'm over here pounding on stuff. You're giving these Ukrainians billions and billions with no end in sight. You're giving Israel all this money, no end in sight. That's not to mention the money that we giving to to Taiwan to threaten China, to South Korea to threaten the North Korea. All of this money that's benefiting who? Weapons manufacturers and those on the stock market. It ain't benefiting you or me. 30,000, 60,000, 80,000. I can't remember what the pay scale was in the military. You wasn't becoming no millionaire. You would have to stay in there 30 years to make something like 4,000 a month. So who's getting paid off all this money? And who is this helping? It's not like they go in and destroy a country and then, steal a gold like they did with Venezuela, the UK did with Venezuela. They don't take that and split it up among us and say, hey, we stole this gold. Let's divvy it up like the pirates we are. Seizing people oil fields, that's going on in Syria. We're not getting a cut of that stuff. So what are we voting for, really, y'all? What are we voting for? I voted for Jill Stein. I voted for the Green Party. I'm joining the Green Party. I know last time I talked to a nurse with a full blood workup, physical, all that, she said, Mr. Reid, if you quit smoking, you might live till you're 80 years old. So I'm 57 now. So I guess that's what I'll spend the rest of my days doing, trying to help the Green Party build this party. Because I just can't become part of the sheep, man. I can't join the herd. Whether it's the Republican plantation or the Democratic plantation, both them motherfuckers is evil. And there's no denying what's happening right in front of our face. Again, if I tell a lie, come point it out where I'm telling a lie. Because I'm well-researched. So, nobody wants to come up? Let me see. Let's go to the chat. Rusty says, Democrats have used racism for their power for the past 200 years. I vote against their racism. Here's the thing. The Democratic Party isn't the Democratic Party of the 1800s. It's not. Okay? Are they still racist? Yes. That's reflected in this policy. That's reflected in his policy of destroying and robbing of resources from all these non-white nations. Yes, they're racist. You don't have to be white to be a racist. If the policy is racist and you support the policy, then that makes you a supporter of racism, does it not? But let's not play games and act like the Republican parties ain't racist. They're more racist and overtly racist and in your face with it, Rusty, than Democrats are. Democrats are refined. And I'm not talking about your everyday Democrat, like the people I've run into around here. I'm talking like the ones that got money and power. The ones that's calling the shots, like the Hillary Clintons, the Bill Clintons. Them people. Yeah. So let's not pretend that both parties aren't racist. They both support racist policies. Let's not even go there. So let me see. Dems are worse, though Republicans are racist too. Well, it depends on your perspective. If that's your truth, or who am I to tell you that's not what you see? But in my county, in my town, in my state, these Republicans is off the damn chain. They are off the chain. And they got a super majority. The only thing that's been sort of holding the floodgates back has been a Democratic governor, Roy Cooper. But they've even overridden some of his stuff. But that isn't an issue of racism, though. What I'm talking about is like some of the stuff the Republicans have done. Well, protecting Confederate monuments are pretty racist. And taking power away from local governments to say, hey, you can't move that monument to the Confederate States of America or the traitorous soldiers in front of the courthouse. You got to leave it right there. Yeah, they did that. They passed the law, even though it's a loophole that says that all they have to do is transfer the property to a private party because our county owns the statue. It was gifted to them by the Daughters of the Confederacy. And I told them, all you got to do is gift it to a nonprofit. Gift it to my nonprofit, Black Talk Media Project. Then I'll take it off your hands and I'll go donate it right to another museum that's going to put it in its proper context and talk about what slavery was like in Gaston County in 1855, whenever the Civil War kicked off. I would also point out that it was the wealthy slavers who were the Gaston County commissioners back then. And it was the poor white people, mostly sharecroppers or whatever, probably worked on the slave patrols. They really had no money. And they were drafted. In North Carolina, I'll give it to North Carolina Appalachians. Shout out to those up there devastated in the mountains. But y'all got some history y'all ought to be proud of. That when they were getting drafted into the Confederate States of America or the Confederate Army, they deserted. They was like, we're not enslaving people up here. We're not enslaving people, and we're not going to give our lives for some rich mofo to enslave somebody else. And they deserted, man. Some of them even got caught and executed. Even Robert E. Lee wrote about North Carolina regiments being high deserters. They was like, we're not finna die to protect slavery, rich people right to, and a lot of these poor white people don't even know their history. They don't even know their history. But a lot of them got educated when we were protesting in 2020. A lot of them got educated. But anyway, yeah, Republicans are racist in my state. Mark Robinson, a black man who hate black people. I mean, he's like a character off of Boondocks. I mean, for real. Uncle Ruckus to the damn T. Even built like Uncle Ruckus. That's a big boy, too. That's a big dude. Big dude. And these white people let him come up in their church and preach hate. These the same type of white Christians that practice slavery and allow for it to continue to this day. So, people, we just can't throw all Christians in the same boat, man, or in the same bucket. That's not the Christian. That's not what our ancestors, the victims of slavery, were worshiping. We weren't worshiping the same God. We weren't following Yeshua. We were following Yeshua, the teachings of Yeshua. They was following the God of David and Abraham and the dude that was telling Moses to go out there and commit genocide. They really is if you ask me, they sort of like a mix between Judean, they do got a name for it, Judeo-Christians. We Jews and Christians, we just mixed the two together and created this new religion. It's crazy, man. So what else is going on? What's going on in Israel? Because that really has me concerned for our troops there. I'm just really concerned, man. I know a lot of us, we say we care about the troops. Y'all don't give a damn about people when they sitting over there. You don't know what they going through, what they had to sacrifice. You don't. You just sitting on the sideline like you cheering at a football game. Here is the BRICS new payment system has launched. This goes back to the economic collapse that's on the horizon here that a lot of people don't know is coming because mainstream media, MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, they correct me if I'm wrong, but are they talking about these BRICS nations? Are they talking about the BRICS alliance? Oh, no, I don't think they are because I would see the news clips when I go to YouTube and what have you. I would see a headline that says BRICS and it'd be produced by CNN, published by CNN. I ain't seen nothing like that. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But that new payment system has been successfully tested and launched. Let's give this a listen, y'all.
Yeah,
I mean, there is a podcast on Black Talk Radio called Tando Radio Show that I used to produce. I wasn't the host. I guess you call me sort of like a co-host, but it was it's a podcast focused on survival. Preppers is what is the name for it. And we talked about survival methods and things of that nature in terms of like food and gold and things of that nature. And so that's a good podcast to go back and listen to. But I've run into people here locally that have listened to that podcast and then bought emergency kits and stuff like, made their own emergency kits. Because we going to need them, y'all. Let's listen to this and see what these people talking about.
Towards local currency-based trade, reducing the reliance on the U.S. dollar and challenging the traditional dominance of...
Let me turn this up.
...networks. At this forum, participants were introduced to BRICS pay cards, preloaded with 500 rubles, which could be used at designated shops marked with the BRICS pay logo. This demonstrates...
Bluetooth connected.
Signal to the world that the BRICS bloc is prepared to forge a new path in global finance, one where the rules are written by emerging economies rather than dictated by the West. But an important question here is, why was BRICS pay necessary in the first place? For years, the BRICS nations have been navigating a financial landscape heavily skewed in favor of Western powers. The dominance of the US dollar in global trade, coupled with the influence of Western financial institutions like SWIFT, has left many nations vulnerable to the whims of geopolitical tensions. For instance, Russia, one of the founding members of BRICS, has been repeatedly targeted by Western economic sanctions, particularly after the annexation of Crimea in 2014 and the more recent conflict in Ukraine. These sanctions have effectively cut Russia off from the global financial system, limiting its access to international markets and crippling its economy. In response to these vulnerabilities, BRICS nations began exploring alternatives to the traditional financial systems dominated by the West. The BRICS Business Council, which initiated the BRICS Pay project in 2018, recognized that the bloc's economic sovereignty depended on developing an independent payment system that could facilitate cross-border transactions without relying on the US dollar. The necessity of BRICS Pay became even more apparent as the geopolitical landscape continued to shift, with rising tensions between the West and emerging economies. This shift is not just about protecting individual countries from sanctions. It's about fostering a system that allows BRICS nations to trade in their currencies and maintain control over their financial destiny. By reducing reliance on the US dollar, BRICS Pay offers a solution that enhances financial sovereignty and creates a more balanced global financial ecosystem. This necessity stems from a growing realization among BRICS nations that financial independence is as critical as political and economic autonomy. As the world becomes more fragmented, with competing economic blocs emerging, the need for a payment system that can operate independently of Western institutions has become urgent. This leads us to the next question. What features of this new payment system were revealed during the summit? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Africa's geopolitics, economy, and changing landscape. Let's continue now. The BRICS Pay Systems Foundation lies in blockchain technology, but why is this particular technology critical to the project's success? What does blockchain bring to the table that traditional systems do not? At its core, blockchain is a decentralized ledger technology that enables real-time, transparent, and secure transactions without the need for intermediaries. In traditional financial systems, intermediaries like banks and clearinghouses add layers of complexity, slowing down transactions and increasing costs. By leveraging blockchain, BRICS can bypass these intermediaries, facilitating faster and cheaper cross-border payments between member states. One of the standout features of blockchain is its security. All transactions are recorded on an immutable ledger, meaning they cannot be altered or deleted once they are verified. This provides a level of transparency and fraud protection that is unmatched by traditional financial systems.
You can sell this $5 spatula on Amazon and compete with hundreds of other spatula sellers, or you can sell...
Yeah, so keep listening. We're going to skip this. So again, I don't think the masses of people understand the collapse, the economic collapse that's right around the horizon. And I ain't heard not one moderator on one of these mainstream media debates ask Kamala Harris or Donald Trump about the BRICS payment system. It just launched, and what's that's going to do to our economy. And again, we deserve what's going to happen, to be honest with you. We've been, as a nation, been doing so much evil to so many people. I mean, this was bound to happen. So what we going to do? Attack every nation that signs up for BRICS and drops and stops using the US dollar for trade? Or we could look at it as an opportunity to start over. I don't, like my friend Dave, who used to host Tando radio show, he would call it the untied states of America. The untied states, meaning that these states become their own individual countries. I ain't got a problem with that. I ain't got a problem with North Carolina becoming its own country. We already got a constitution. We already got people in place. It ain't got to fall apart. It ain't got to be chaos out here. And I know a lot of people are considered right-wing who believe that, who actually want to see that happen. But I'm not for always putting labels on it. It's a point of view. And it's a point of view that I don't think that I will be gravely affected. Yeah, there'll be some growing pains. But if we could bring out something better on the other side, I ain't got a problem with that, because it got to be better than what we got now. We are at the pinnacle of evil. That's what Trump and Harris represent. And nobody can tell me otherwise. They just can't. So let's continue listening to this BRICS report, because this is happening.
Like Russia and China, which are often targets of cyber attacks and economic sanctions, this security is paramount. Furthermore, blockchain's decentralized nature aligns perfectly with BRICS' vision of creating a multipolar financial world order. In a centralized system, power is concentrated in the hands of a few major players, namely Western financial institutions. But in a decentralized system like blockchain, no single entity has control over the entire network. This distribution of power is essential for BRICS nations, as it ensures that no country or institution can unilaterally cut them off from the financial system, as has happened with SWIFT. But blockchain's value doesn't stop there. One of the most ambitious aspects of BRICS Pay is its potential to integrate digital currencies into the system, creating a truly global and decentralized payment ecosystem. This brings us to our next question. How will BRICS Pay integrate digital currencies, and what impact could this have on the global financial system? As the BRICS Pay system continues to evolve, one of the most intriguing possibilities is the introduction of a digital currency, specifically for the BRICS bloc. The current global financial system is built on the foundation of the US dollar, which serves...
Let me stop it right there. Let me back up. And I'm going to poke fun at a little fun. It's all in good jest. I'm not trying to, I don't have hate when I'm talking to you people. If I have any hate in my heart, it's for the things that these people are doing. But this just reminded me, he was talking about blockchain and cryptocurrency. And I was like, that ridiculous black man plan that Harris rolled out a couple of days ago, talking about protecting cryptocurrency for black men. And I'm like, get out of here. Get out of here. Really? Anyway, let's continue. But that's the technology they talking about.
Global financial system. As the BRICS Pay system continues to evolve, one of the most intriguing possibilities is the introduction of a digital currency, specifically for the BRICS bloc. The current global financial system is built on the foundation of the US dollar, which serves as the world's reserve currency. This dominance has given the United States an unparalleled degree of influence over global trade, allowing it to impose economic sanctions, control the flow of capital, and dictate the terms of international finance. By introducing a BRICS digital currency, the bloc could challenge this dominance and create a more equitable financial system. A BRICS digital currency would allow member states to conduct trade without converting their currencies into dollars, saving time and reducing transaction costs. Moreover, this currency would be backed by the collective economies of BRICS nations, which together account for nearly 45% of the world's population and 30% of global GDP. This would give the digital currency significant weight in the global market. In practical terms, the introduction of a digital currency would also facilitate cross-border payments within the BRICS bloc. For example, a business in Brazil could pay for goods from China using the BRICS digital currency, without having to convert Brazilian reais into US dollars and then into Chinese yuan. This would streamline trade and make the BRICS bloc more economically integrated. But the real breakthrough comes from the potential use of stablecoins and tokenized assets within the BRICS Pay ecosystem. Tokenization refers to the process of converting physical assets, or fiat currency, into digital tokens that can be traded on a blockchain. BRICS Pay plans to introduce tokens like the NSRB token, which will act as a stablecoin pegged to the national currencies of BRICS nations. This token would facilitate seamless exchanges between currencies, further enhancing the efficiency of cross-border transactions. The introduction of a BRICS digital currency would also serve as a counterweight to Western financial dominance. By creating a parallel financial system that operates independently of the US dollar, BRICS nations would be able to shield themselves from economic sanctions and control their financial future. So, was this summit a win? Yes, the BRICS Business Forum Summit was a resounding win, but not just because of the technological advancements demonstrated. The true victory lies in the strategic signaling and the narrative that BRICS is reshaping for itself and the world.
So this is all non-white nations. I know people look at Putin and say that's a white man, and if he was in America, he would be classified as white. But when you understand the history of Europe, you will understand that them European whites do not look at them Russians as being white. They look at them as Slavic people. You know, the ones that the mustache man in Germany was trying to exterminate. I mean, nobody lost more people than Russia or Soviet Union at the time, you know. I mean, just wiping them people out to take their land or to make them into victims of slavery for the Third Reich. So these are non-white nations. This is an alliance against, you could say, white supremacy, which has projected itself through military power and through the power of controlling the world finance system. The World Bank, oh man, if you ain't never, you can go to YouTube right now. It's a book, you can read the book, or you can watch the documentary, Confessions of a Hitman. Confessions of a Hitman. This dude worked for the World Bank when we wonder how Africa, you know, fell into neo-colonialism. That was through the World Bank, which America, United States controls, with Europeans, you know, to a lesser degree. Think about what it's going to do to the US dollar when Saudi Arabia, which they've already started negotiating with countries like China to allow China to purchase their oil from Saudi Arabia with their own currency. Saudi Arabia, I believe, I don't know if they got approved, but I think they applied to be part of BRICS. So, because I came across this term in the 90s called the petrodollar. I learned that from Ron Paul, old Republican out of Texas. The petrodollar, it gives the dollar its power in the world. If everybody got to buy oil using dollars, then that makes the dollar more valuable than any other currency. And it's a fiat currency, meaning they just print it out of thin damn air. What's going to happen when Saudi Arabia joins BRICS and now you just heard how everybody be able to deal straight with each other and cut out the middleman? That's really what all these wars are about, people. It really is. But this is not the sort of information that you're going to get from Joy Reid on MSNBC. I don't even know any more of the hosts on CNN. You're not going to get this from any of your Fox and friends, and they not having these conversations. Their job is to keep the illusion going and to propagandize the American people with white supremacy. But they call it something different. You know, going back to our earlier conversation about who's better at practicing racism, Republican or Democrats. Democrats, particularly Joe Biden comes to mind, came up with this thing called American exceptionalism, meaning we're an exceptional nation. We're better than everybody else. Nobody can beat the USA in nothing. We're just top dog. That's the same thing as white supremacy. It's just white supremacy with sprinkles. And when I say sprinkles, you know, you get the sprinkles to put on ice cream and it's different colors. That's what we got in the Biden administration. To my shame as a black man, we got a black man and a black woman up there at the UN voting on behalf of the Biden administration to block any security, United Nations Security Council resolutions, General Assembly resolutions to hold Israel accountable for the mass genocide that they doing. The deliberate starvation. So, this is where we at, y'all. This is where we at. The world has seen, and I'm pretty sure they knew before. I don't know. Maybe the masses of that country, they just seen Hollywood movies on DVD or cable or whatever, satellite TV, and they just think it's so great over here in America. That this the land of milk or honey, and we all got six-figure jobs, and you know, I mean, compared to some nations, yeah, we do have a far better standard of living, but it's at other people's expense, and I don't want to live like that. I don't want to have something because somebody else had to suffer. It's not the world I want to live in. I don't think people should treat each other, but American exceptionalism is just another word for white supremacy, and the non-white world is banding together. They finally got the technological military equipment that they need to assure mutual destruction. And now they come up with the technology to build their own system, economic system, payment system. And the great empire of the United States of America will be left in the dustbin of history. What we gonna do, y'all? We gotta have a plan. We got to have a plan because it's coming. It's coming. We can ignore it, put our head in the sand, and suffer the consequences. Or we can prepare and try to lessen the pain the best we can. Anyway, that's my broadcast for tonight. Again, appreciate any support that you give to the channel. Like, subscribe, whatever platform we're on. Again, this platform, Black Talk Radio Network, is managed by the North Carolina nonprofit Black Talk Media Project, and I am the founder. My name is Scotty Reid. You can look me up, do a Google search on me. I don't have anything to hide. I use my real name because I figured when I first got into broadcasting 18 years ago, I should use my real name if I want to be credible. If I want people to believe the things that I bring to them, why would I hide behind a fake name or anything? I want to be taken serious as a journalist. So I use my real name, Google me. But we really would appreciate any support y'all could throw our way at blacktalkradionetwork.com. You'll see the donate tab. Help us keep that platform around for its 18th anniversary coming up in November, because we're really struggling. And I hate to say that, but we are. We are, and we believe that a lot of people, based off of subscriptions, because we don't charge people, I believe information should be free. But we live in a capitalist society, and running a platform like ours for as long as we have, it costs money. It costs money. So any coins that you could donate would surely be appreciated. All right. That said, just pay attention and get prepared. Prepare your families mentally, psychologically, and spiritually. And if the proverbial shit hits the fan, maybe we can survive it together. And it doesn't have to be this scenario where we're all out here unaliving each other. I don't want to believe that. All right, with that said, peace and blessings to all. Good night.